Welcome to SAT Prep Thursday. Today we're doing College Board SAT Practice Test number 5, Part 3. This is not a calculator approved section. There will also be a file link in the description for this practice test. Which of the following is an equation of line L in the XY plane? Well, looking at the answers, we can immediately eliminate both of these because it is neither a vertical nor a horizontal line. Now, it does not pass through the origin, so it can't be C, leaving D as the answer. The circle above with center O has a circumference of 36. What is the length of minor arc AC? Well, knowing that this is a right angle here, it means this is a right angle, leaving the other two as rights. That's good because there's 360 degrees in a circle. 90 degrees is a quarter of it. I'm looking at 90 out of 360 degrees. That's equal to 0.25. So 0.25 times 36 will give me 9, so A is the answer. What are the solutions of the quadratic equation? So one of the first things I'm going to do to make this easier on myself is I'm going to divide everything by 4 just to get some smaller numbers. This is going to give me x squared minus 2x minus 3. Now I need two numbers that multiply and make -3 that when added together are going to give me a -2. This means I'm going to wind up with an x minus 3 and an x plus 1. -3 times +1 will give me the -3. -3 plus 1 will give me the -2. This means that one of my answers is 3 and the other answer is -1. That means that B is the answer. Which of the following is an example of a function whose graph in the xy plane has no x-intercept? So if we were looking at an xy plane, then a horizontal line would be a line where the slope is equal to 0. That can't be the case because it's not one of the things we're actually looking for here. Now, if I had a vertical line where y was equal to some number, then there would be an x-intercept, meaning that A can't be an answer. A quadratic with real zeros means it's going to cross the x-axis in more than one place, so it can't be B. Now, a quadratic function with no real zeros would be something like this, where it's above the x-axis but does not cross it, and C certainly is an answer. In the equation above, k is a constant. If x is equal to 9, what is the value of k? So to solve this, we're simply going to substitute the value of x into this equation. This will give us k plus 2 square rooted minus 9 equals 0. And we're simply going to solve for k. So now we have the square root of k plus 2 is equal to a +9. Squaring both sides means I have k plus 2 is equal to 81. And subtracting 2 from both sides gives me k is 79. D is the answer. Which of the following is equivalent to the sum of the expression a squared minus 1 and a plus 1? Well, all we have to do here is actually combine like terms. Now, I've spread this out because there was no a term. I then get to put an a and the plus 1 into place. The 1's are going to cancel out, leaving me with a squared plus a, so A is the answer. Jackie has 2 summer jobs. She works as a tutor, which pays $12 per hour. She works as a lifeguard, which pays $9.50 per hour. She can work no more than 20 hours per week, but she wants to earn at least $220 per week. Which of the following systems of inequalities represents this situation in terms of x and y, where x is the number of hours she tutors and y is the number of hours she works as a lifeguard? Let's start with a really simple thing to say that the total number of hours, the x plus the y. Now, if she can only work a maximum of 20 hours, then that number must be less than or equal to 20. This allows us to eliminate 2 of the equations to start with. Now, the only question is, Which of these is the answer? Now, we know she wants to earn at least $220. That at least means this number, this 12x plus 9.5y, has to be greater than or equal to, meaning C is the answer. In air, the speed of sound, s, in meters per second, is a linear function of air temperature, T, in degrees Celsius, and is given by s of t is equal to 0.6 T plus 331.4. Which of the following statements is a best interpretation of 331.4 in this context? Now, if we just look at this right here, this means we're talking about when t is equal to 0. And everything we're talking about is the sound of speed. So with that being the case, we know we can immediately eliminate C and D as the answers because all of this is about the speed of sound. Now, back here we said if t was 0, but this is talking about a change in temperature. So if t was 0, we're talking about A, 0 degrees Celsius. If xy is a solution to the system of equations above and x is greater than 0, what is the value of x times y? So what we're going to do is we're going to take this second equation and substitute the y value. So we get to say 2 times x squared plus 6 is equal to, and how about we get rid of these parentheses at the same time, 2x plus 6. Now if we bring everything to the same side of the equation, we get 2x squared minus 2x is equal to 0 because these 6's will cancel each other out. I'm going to factor out a 2x from both of these, giving me 2x times x minus 1 is equal to 0. I have two solutions now. One is that x is 0. The other is that x is 1, so A is the answer. If a squared plus b squared is equal to z and ab is equal to y, which of the following is equivalent to 4z plus 8y? We're looking at this 4z plus 8y. I already know that z is equal to a squared plus b squared, meaning I can say 4 times a squared plus b squared plus 8 times y is ab. Now at this point I can go ahead and distribute this 4 and the 8 to have 4a squared plus 8ab, I don't know why I wrote a y there, plus 4b squared. Now this is nice because this is a perfect square, meaning what I have is 2a plus 2b squared. That gives me B as the answer. The volume of a right circular cylinder A is 22 cubic centimeters. What is the volume in cubic centimeters of a right circular cylinder with twice the radius and half the height of cylinder A? So we understand that the volume of the first is pi r squared h, which is 22. This is given to us in the problem. We want to know the volume of the second one, which would be pi times twice the radius, so 2r squared, and half the height, so h over 2. This means that simplified, the second volume is pi times 2r squared h. Now we already know that pi r squared h is equal to 22, and that leaves us with 2 times 22, or 44, and C is the answer. Which of the following is equivalent to 9 to the 3/4 power? So I'm going to rewrite this as a root, meaning 9 to the 3rd power to the 4th root. This also gives me 3 cubed to the square root power. Knowing that that's 3 times 3 times 3, I would get 3. Square root of 3 is the answer, so D. At a restaurant, N cups of tea are made by adding T bags of hot water. If T is equal to N plus 2, how many additional tea bags are needed to make each additional cup of tea? So we're talking about each additional cup of tea. So we start out with N and try and figure out what T is. I know that 1 takes 3, so 2 would take 2 more than that, which is 4. 3 would take 5. That means that B1 is the answer. The function f is defined by the equation above. Which of the following is the graph of y is equal to the inverse of f of x in the xy plane. So we need to be able to first look at what f of x is. Let's look at with a table with different x values like 0, 1, 2, and 3. This would give us 2, 3, 5, and 9 as the answers. So the inverse of f of x with the same x and x values of 0, 1, 2, and 3 would give us a -2, -3, and -5. So just starting with that 0's -2, that means that A is out as an answer. Taking a look, we can also see that B is out as an answer. C does go through the -2. D does not go through the -2, meaning C is the answer. Alan drives an average of 100 miles each week. His car can travel an average of 25 miles per gallon of gasoline. Alan would like to reduce his weekly expenditure on gas by $5. Assuming gasoline costs $4 per gallon, which equation can Alan use to determine how many fewer average miles M he should drive each week? So we know we are dealing with $4 a gallon and 25 miles per gallon. That 25 miles per gallon would be the same as 1/25 gallons per mile at $4 per gallon. So we're dealing with 4/25 as our ratio. This means I am dealing with a 4/25 times M, and that's going to equal the cost. Since the current cost is $5, I can say 4/25 M would be equal to 5. That gives me D as the answer. Maria plans to rent a boat. The boat rental costs $60 per hour, and she will also have to pay for a water safety course that costs $10. Maria wants to spend no more than $280 for the rental and the course. If the boat rental is available only for whole numbers of hours, what is the maximum number of hours for which Maria can rent the boat? So we start out by knowing that the boat costs $60 per hour. So we can have a 60H. We also know that she has to pay for the course of $10, which is plus 10. We know that she wants to spend no more than 280, which is less than or equal to 280. And we also want whole numbers of hours. So now we get to solve this to say 60H would be less than or equal to 270, or H would be less than or equal to 4.5. But she can't rent it for a half hour, so H is equal to 4. What value of P is the solution of the equation above? So we're going to simply distribute and get rid of parentheses to say 2P plus 2. Distribute these, but I'm also going to stack them underneath so that I have 8P minus 8. And this would, after being combined, give me N equals 5P. So I have 10P minus 6, or by subtracting 5 from both sides, I get 5P minus 6 is equal to 0. Meaning 5P is equal to a positive 6, or P is 6/5. The system of equations above has a solution xy. What is the value of x? Let's multiply this top equation by the number 2. This is going to allow us to eliminate the denominator and the 1/2, giving us a 2x plus y is equal to 21. At this point, I know that y is equal to 2x, so I'm going to substitute that value in for y, giving me 2x plus 2x, which is 4x equal 21. This means that x is 21/4. The expression above is equivalent to a over x plus 2 squared, where a is a positive constant and x is not equal to -2. What are the values of a? So I think it would be really helpful in this beginning part to get the same denominator, meaning I'm going to multiply this right one by the number 1, which is x plus 2 over x plus 2. This is going to give me 2x plus 6 minus 2x minus 4 all over x plus 2 squared. Now that's convenient because that's the same as here. Let's combine some like terms, meaning that those x's go away. 6 minus 4 is 2, and that's x plus 2 squared in the denominator. This means since 2 is in the numerator and a is in the numerator, that a is equal to 2. Intersecting lines R, S, and T are shown below. What is the value of x? Well, let's start by finding this interior angle right here. That would be 180 degrees minus 106 degrees to give us 74 degrees. Now, if we want to find this angle, we're going to say 180 minus 74 minus 23, which is 83 degrees. Knowing what's complementary to x means that I can say 180 degrees, this line, minus the 83 degrees that we know is here, will give us 97 degrees is equal to x.